Oh, here we go. Welcome back to the IDP show. My name is Johny the Greek, and welcome everyone. Tonight we're covering rounds 17 through 24 of IDP Best Ball Mania, our mock draft. This is part 3 of a series we've been doing. Tonight I am joined by some very special guests. We're going to be talking about the end of the draft, how we approach the end of a IDP only best ball draft like this, what we're looking for, etc., etc. Let's get some intros going, then we'll get into it. We're going to start with the Green Dot King, a featured writer, analyst, and ranker, author of the often imitated but never replicated 3-down linebacker article, The Green Dot King, at Mike_Woellert on Twitter. Mr. Mike Woellert, how are you, sir?
What's going on? I thought, again, feels like only yesterday we were talking draft and we were doing rookies, and now here we are. We're got a full slate of preseason football coming up, and the expo drafts, all that stuff. So unreal. The football machine never stops.
That's it. Yep. Sneaks up on all of us. Good to have you here, Mike. We've also got another IDP expert ranker and a founding member of Big 3 IDP, the Lawnmower Man, and the co-host of the IDP show at IDP Bob on Twitter. Bob, how are you, sir? You're muted.
No, there we go. My bad. That was Josh's fault. Blame it on Josh. No, I'm so glad to be able to spend some time with y'all. Jackson, Mike, don't get to spend a lot of time with you guys, but Johny, our paths go way back, and it's just good to sit here for an hour and actually talk some ball with you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Good to have you. And we've got a newer member of the team, but he's definitely an up-and-comer. He's a content creator for the IDP show, creator of the IDP Dynasty Trade Calculator at iDynastyP on Twitter, Mr. Jackson Schwam. Jackson, how are you, sir?
Doing good, my man. Stoked for the debut episode for me here. And, what better setup than to get kind of the bargain bin rounds, I feel like. It's like digging through the bin at Walmart of all the Kenny Loggins CDs and stuff, all the picks no one wants. So it's okay. It's good. We're going to have fun.
Yes, sir. Good stuff. So, yep, we've got the end of the draft. We'll talk about our thought process with these picks. And with that being said, here we go. We are resuming. Alrighty. So I guess that puts, who is that? Mr. Ringler on the clock. But yeah, I'll be going shortly after that. But let's start with Mike. What do you think of your draft so far? Have you been happy with your picks, or how's it turned out for you?
So far, so good. I got a few guys that I wanted kind of in those mid rounds at the draft a couple of weeks ago. Tyreek Stevenson, and looking through, I really like my DB group. My DL group looks a little weak, but it'll get a little better once I move Jalen Phillips into that DL spot. And I hope Vic Fangio realizes that Bryce Huff is actually a pretty good football player, and we'll play him a little bit more. But overall, I am okay with it. I'm okay with it. I like the rooms. I've got some upside. I like Peyton Wilson, Overshown. I like Young, but overall, I'm pretty happy with the team that I built.
Yes, sir. All right, and that takes us to our first pick on the clock here. So this will be my 17-3, and this is legitimately just a pick to make conversation. After the news today, I'm going to go with Miles Murphy.
Oh, you prick.
That's right. Hopefully getting some extra snaps. Yeah, go ahead.
As soon as I posted that in the Slack, I'm like, if someone's going to pick him right before me. So,
so yeah, huge injury to Cam Sample today, done for the season, I think, right? So rotational role probably for Murphy, but what do you guys think? Is there some value there? Bobby, what's your take on this?
Well, I love the Miles Murphy pick, but I got to say, too, there, Jeff Daya Odingbo there at the second pick this round is pretty sneaky because now, obviously, there's going to be a big opening spot there for for Dio to get some extra play there alongside Quiddy, with Samson Ebukam going out with the Achilles injury. We're going to find out how good Quiddy Pay is. Is he actually worthy of being a first-round pick in the NFL? I don't know. Was he a first-round pick? Yeah, he was a first-round pick.
He was a first-round pick.
I think this is going to his third year. He's healthy now, maybe. So Odengbo is a guy who I had put on my queue. Jeff sneaky pick there at the 1702. Wow, we're deep in the draft. But yeah, Johnny, that's a great grab. Miles Murphy was another guy that was down here on the queue, just getting preparing to be selected. So not only good content here, but also good information to talk about for sure.
Yes, sir. And I got a question for Jackson. So Jackson, how are you approaching your draft in later rounds like this? Do you kind of fade DB and save that all to the end? Are you looking for value? Are you looking for guys that might get a job or guys that do have a job, but just maybe not as many snaps as we want?
Yeah, you know what, man? I'll probably show my hand a bit here, but I'm definitely going to be drafting a lot of DBs tonight because, going to the 17th round here, I have one DB, just Reed Blankenship. So I have a feeling tonight's going to be DB heavy for me. Depending who's left on the board, if you boys leave me some guys, I might have to take them over a DB. But ideally, I'd want to come out of this draft with probably at least 7 DBs, but comfortably 8. So I'm going to have to, with one DB, I'm looking at taking 6 or 7 DBs tonight. So it'll be heavy there for sure.
Yeah, and that's a strategy a lot of us use. Try and fade DB on this. Mike, how about you? Are you a fade DB guy, or what's your approach to that?
You know what, I usually am, but in looking at my draft, I kind of went. I took a DB early in the 8th round, and then I followed it up with Cameron Bynum. So I think with this type of best ball scoring, I don't think it makes sense to wait on DB because I'd like to get some solid guys, but with the variance in the position, and just ceiling weeks and floor weeks, I think there's usually even in a deeper draft like this, there's usually going to be some good guys. But in terms of who I am targeting, I know with DL and big plays, here I'm gonna go with Ebiketie, Arnold Ebiketie, getting a lot of the pass rush responsibilities in Atlanta. 28 rushes on just 175 pass rush snaps, 4 hits, and I think he's in line for a bigger role. So I think Ebiketie is in line for. We'll have some of those bigger weeks. So that who is one of the guys I am going to fill out at my DL spot.
Nice. I like that. And it's, it's not perfect, but he's definitely going to have a role. He's going to have snaps. He's going to have production, and it's best ball. So we don't have to get it right. We get it regardless. So I like that. All righty. Bob's up next. Let's get Jackson's take on this real quick since Bob's going to be on deck here in a second. Jackson, what do you think of the Ebiketie pick there?
I like it, man. Honestly, at this point in the draft, that's kind of like an upside play the way I see it. It's a guy that's capable of getting some sacks for you, big plays, can win you weeks. And, in the rounds where a lot of guys are kind of going DBs where there isn't as much big play potential, I like it for sure. I think it's a smart call. And like you said, Mike, you kind of have a couple more DBs than you thought you were going to have. It looks like you have 4 already. So it gives you the flexibility to kind of take those shots and swing for the upside a bit more.
Yes, sir. And we got Bobby on the clock right now. Bobby, take us inside that noggin. What do you think?
I'm going to tell you, y'all have massively messed up here in the 17th round. And while I do love Josh's pick of Mr. Landman, potentially there in the middle of the 17th, you get a linebacker, one who, who knows exactly what's going on there at Atlanta with Troy Anderson, with Caden Ellis. There's a lot of talk about, some of them might rush. Some of them actually might, not be super healthy yet. So Landman is a great pick. I got to give Josh some credit. But I am going to say, if you were to tell somebody that this guy might be the starting linebacker for a team in the NFL on week 1, And this is back in February. They would probably call you crazy, but let's go ahead and add Mr. Zach Bond to the team. You know, what a mess that is there with Devin White. You've got whatever is left of Nakobe Dean at this point. Mike in our Slack today threw out where Sirianni was actually hyping up Zach Bond out of nowhere, just calling him an elite talent. And, you know, I don't know that Bond is going to be the best linebacker in 2024, but he's going to be a linebacker in 2024. I can promise you that.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. And I mean, come on, what is that? Pick 17-8. You know, we're all just taking shots in the dark at this point, right? So
exactly.
Good stuff there. Mike, yeah, you were talking about Zach Bond earlier. Do we think this is a legit thing, or is this just camp speak?
At this point, I'm not thinking it's camp speak. The only thing is I know he's been mentioned, you know, he's probably going to be used in a similar, I think anyway, he's going to be used in a similar fashion as some of his other pass rushing linebackers, like he had with Ben Ginkle in Miami and Johnson when he was in Denver. He was a pass rushing off ball linebacker. So are the tackles going to be there? I don't necessarily know. I mean, he had about a 10% tackle rate last year with 30 tackles and about 300 snaps. So the tackle floor may not be his safe, but if he's going to be a rush linebacker and if he gets quarterback hits, if he gets a tackle for a loss, or if he gets a sack, then he's going to be in line for some of those bigger spike weeks. So definitely a really good best ball target in redraft or seasonal. I mean, if you can get a guy who's going to play maybe 80% of the snaps, I mean, you know, in a league where you're starting anywhere between maybe 3 to 4 linebackers, or if you've got deeper rosters where you can, you know, bench 6, 7 linebackers, then hey, you know, why not?
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely best ball's a good spot to draft them. I'm with you on that. All righty. So, okay, I got one for you guys. So we'll start with Jax on this. Jax, what has been your favorite pick so far? Best value in your mind on your draft so far?
It's a good question, man. I am a big Jeffrey Simmons guy, so getting him in the 4th round, I like that a lot. Like even Grenard up there too. That kind of run. Sweat was a bit early. I feel like I reached on Sweat a little bit, but I do believe in him. But getting Sweat, Grenard, and then kind of capping it off with Simmons, that kind of gave me a good setup for the D-line room, I think. So I'd have to go Simmons for me.
Yeah, that's a great pick. And let me ask Bobby this, because I swear to God, Bob, I've heard you talking about this on the show before. What are your thoughts on defensive tackles, just in general in best ball? I love it. I have no problem with it whatsoever. I know the DEs are what everyone wants and the linebackers, but just real quick before. Hold on, Bobby, I'm putting you on ice for a second. Jax, what do you got? What's your pick?
Well, I kind of alluded to it, but I think I got a double dip here on the DBs just out of necessity a little bit. But I'm okay doing that with some of the guys available here. You know, the first one I'm going to go with, I think, is Mr. Kevin Byard. You know, goes to a new team here in Chicago. He's not really a guy that offers a ton of big play upside, I would say, but you know, he has been pretty unreal with the tackle production. Looking at it last season, had 122 tackles. I mean, that's pretty wild for a DB, 106 the year before. So you just hope that, you know, he still has a pretty prominent role in Chicago alongside Brisker. But at this point in the draft, personally, I'm happy getting him there. And then next guy, kind of in the same vein, I'm going to go Tyrann Mathieu, the KG vet there. Another guy that's just been really consistent throughout his career. So that's 2 guys where I can take them and feel confident that I'm getting guys that are going to play majority of the snaps and hopefully not burn me too many weeks.
Yep, love those. Honey Badger, always taking the Honey Badger. That is a rock solid, 100% of snaps every week. Good production. Love that guy. But yeah, back to Bobby here. Favorite value so far you've gotten, and thoughts on defensive tackle and best ball.
Favorite value. I still probably have to go back to Rashawn Gary at the 405. Gary, to me, especially in best ball, can pop off and can win you a week. So I like that for myself. Back to your conversation about DN versus D tackle. I love D tackle. I think it gets disregarded and forgotten about way too much. Not only, I mean, in defensive tackle leagues, you're paying attention to them more, but even in leagues like this where you've just got D linemen, production-wise, I mean, you remember the years, Johnny, of Jarrell Casey, and that was pretty much it. If you didn't have Jarrell Casey or you didn't have the dude down in Atlanta.
Oh, Snacks Harrison.
There you go.
And Donald, and that was it, basically.
There was a handful, and if it wasn't that, you were just kind of streaming. You were streaming from one week to the next. But no, you're exactly right. I love, so you go back here. I've got Deron Payne at the 908. Josh took Jonathan Allen at the 806. Addy took Christian Wilkins at 509. Going back to what Jackson said, Jeffrey Simmons at the 401, which is pretty crazy because I believe last year he was like second, third round type talent. And I don't know for what reason he slipped down to the fourth, but that's an extreme value there in the fourth round. Johnny grabbing a stalwart at the defensive tackle position and Cam Hayward in the 11th round. I just think it's forgotten production. Everybody sees the DNs, they see the Myles Garrett, they see the Micah Parsons, they see the big names, because that's what sells. Defensive tackle, Aaron Donald, me and Johnny have both loved Aaron Donald for years. This is the saddest I've been going into an NFL season, not being able to watch the guy for a while. Yeah, man, defensive tackle in these leagues, in best ball, if you can hit them in the right spots to kind of give you a nice little floor and then shoot your shots in other areas, it can really give you a nice solid floor from 1 week to the next.
Yes, sir. And then, what are you thinking for this one right here? This is 18-5.
Yeah, man, this is tricky, right? So I already have 3 DBs taken. I did take, this is just basically my thought process. I took Antoine Winfield super early. Content fodder. You can hate on me if you want to for it. The best defensive back in the league right now, in my opinion, in the 3rd round. It is what it is. He's not on y'all's team, so that sucks for y'all. But I did take Trent McDuffie in the 11th, and then I took Isaiah Simmons, a guy that will die on my roster. I don't care if he never produces anything for me in IDP. That guy will always be on every single one of my teams. So I've got a couple defensive backs, right? So I've got maybe some time to kind of hold on to them for a minute. I'm going to go back to the D tackle well, and I'm going to bring in my boy Braden Fisk in the 16th round. We talked about him on the last IDP show this last week. We talked about a little bit of regression maybe for Kobe Turner. We talked about Byron Young and the increase that Jared Verse will probably bring about in production for that defensive line. And Braden Fisk, I think, is probably the most talented defensive tackle there for the Rams. So I probably should have grabbed a defensive back, but for just something to talk about, let's grab my boy Fisk.
Nice. Love it, Bobby. Good stuff there. And hopefully he gets the opportunity, and that's half the battle with IDP. We will take it. And that brings us over to Mr. Woellert. Mike, what are you thinking here? And then when you get clear, what's been your favorite pick so far?
So right here, kind of still looking at defensive linemen, and I'm gonna take here probably one of my sleepers that I put on. If you saw my little sleeper graphic, I think playing alongside Marcus Davenport, DJ Reader, and Aiden Hutchinson, I think Alan McNeil is in for a pretty solid season. As of right now, I might have a lower projection on him than maybe I should, but I mean, right now I've got him projected at over 700 snaps and about 4 sacks, with a smattering of some tackles for loss and QB hits. So I like Alan McNeil at this point. I mean, 18th round again, but I think he has a good shot at some of those ceiling weeks. Like I said, I think Reader is a very underrated ad for that line, along with Marcus Davenport, as long as he stays healthy. So I'm going to go ahead and take Alan McNeil.
Nice. Like that pick.
And I think one of my favorite picks, I think with Bob and his Isaiah Simmons pick, I think I love Kyle Duggar, and I'm going to try to have Kyle Duggar on all of my teams. Mm-hmm. I also like David Long in the 12th, who also is another three down linebacker who's probably going to call the plays on the defense. So, David Long is another one. And I was actually pretty surprised at how many snaps he played last season. Because I figured he would play 500, 600, but he played over 800 snaps.
Wow.
And that was about 70% of the total. So I like the Long pick. And I think Tyreek Stevenson is another one of my favorites. I think he's in line for a pretty big year.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And don't be afraid of those corners in these drafts. That's for sure. It may not be as consistent as some of the safeties we like, but some of those spike weeks, Devin Witherspoon's like 70-point week last year or whatever that was. You know what I mean? Like, I'll live with that a couple times a year and not be great the rest of the year. It's best ball. It's fine. So love that. All righty. I'm going to be on deck here in a minute.
Let me ask you, Johny, something before you get into this. So let's talk a little bit about this kick and punt return stuff. So I'm going to assume that a lot of the kick return stuff this year is going to go to a lot of offensive players. There's a lot of smart coaches. I think it was McDaniels that basically said every one of your diva wide receivers is going to be coming to you week 2 or 3 begging to return kickoffs. So from an IDP perspective, there's only really a handful of them. So you've got your Dallas Flowers, you've got your Keyshawn Nixon. Maybe a couple of them will come about through the training camp process. But do you think that the kickoff stuff, are we making too much of it this year? Do you think it's actually going to be something in your return leagues that could, break the game to some extent?
Oh yeah, it's definitely an advantage if you're getting 50 to 70 return yards a game at 10 yards as a point. That's your floor. Never mind what else you get on top of that. That's a beautiful thing. So yeah, I'm all about it. What do you guys think on that, Mike? Sorry, let me get Jackson here real quick. What's your?
Yeah, I've been talking too much. I'm spewing off a lot. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's all good, man. Obviously, I think like Bob was just kind of saying the best too. Like, with the return yards, like it's definitely gravy. You get like the kicking points, and then anything else on top of that. You take that too. It's interesting though. Like, there's definitely a couple guys trying to figure out who that's going to be. Like you said, with the new rules and stuff, returning the kicks. Like, there's some guys deep down there that have returned kicks before. Like, I was looking at Marcus Jones earlier and stuff. So kind of trying to figure out who might actually be doing that. It's going to be a bit more difficult this year just because of the change of the rules, right? So we'll have to see. I've been staying away from the guys like Nixon and stuff so far just because of that. But if they are returning kicks, that's obviously a huge bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm going to force DJ Kell down here because he didn't show up. Thanks, Dave. So all right, that puts me on the clock. I'm going to go with something we've been doing here. Another defensive tackle, Vita Vea. I mean, not the greatest production on planet Earth, but an excellent all-22 player. You don't have to worry about any shenanigans with that. He does get a handful of sacks a year, and I'm A-okay with sprinkling those 5 to 6 sacks throughout the season in best ball and just getting them when they happen and being A-okay with that.
Every draft I've ever been in with Johny, the first 2 people I think he adds to the queue, number 1 is always C.J. Mosley, whether he gets him or not, and number 2 is Vita Vea. You can take it to the bank, man.
That's so true, Bobby. And I don't know. It's reliable. I know it's going to happen, right? I would rather not guess with any of this. You know what I mean? Like, if I know there's a role there and I know there's production there, I'll take that over guessing and maybe being right and getting the next superstar 10 times out of 10, right?
Johny, do you think you think in fantasy, are you more of a floor player or are you more of a ceiling player? Like, what are you're looking for the guy that's going to provide a solid floor?
Oh yeah, floor and consistency, and sprinkle in some spike week guys, and then see what happens from there. That's me. What about you guys, Bobby? What's your approach? Are you looking for more spike week guys? Do you like consistency better? What's your take on that?
I don't know. Probably more the floor. I don't really reach for the guys that Keyshawn Nixon's fun, and Deron Bland is fun, and there's a lot of guys that you can chase these interceptions and the big plays and the return yards and everything. But Johnny's exactly right. In IDP, where we're all playing a game that's super unpredictable, we don't know what the offense or the defense is scheming from one week to the next, it's a whole lot smarter to just play the average, play the median, and just grab the guys who can, provide you a solid floor from one week to the next. Because honestly, the goal in IDP and also in, best ball and then obviously in Dynasty and everything is just get to the playoffs, right? Just get yourself in and then figure it out from there. But yeah, best ball is a different thing for me to turn the Dynasty brain off and to reach for these guys that have a higher ceiling. That's one of the avenues that I struggle in, I guess, when it comes to the best ball side of it. Adam and Josh kind of understand this guy could be this, and I'm like, yeah, but he could put 1 or 2 points up too, but best ball is a different mentality. So Jackson's over there laughing. He's like, Bob's so old. Like,
no,
Yeah.
man, I'm just honestly, I agree with you. Like, I got a couple picks here that are definitely kind of like breaking the mold for me because I feel like I'm usually more of a floor guy, and like Van Ness and Wilson there, like back to back. Those are risky picks. Like those guys could have boom weeks.
Yeah.
They could be great, or they could like basically not have a role, right? So, it's different with best ball. It's tough. You got to find the balance, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, Tyree Wilson, a guy who last year was a D end, now all of a sudden might be a defensive tackle. The same thing this week. We started this IDP Drafts episode, this mock a couple weeks ago, and I forgot who it was. Oh, it's Boo Bam in here. Crazy how much this draft has changed since we started. So many injuries. That leads to Johnny's 1903. Johnny, talk about your pick there. You're not doing that probably 3 weeks ago.
Oh, no. It's just based off the injuries to the Miami defensive line and the fact that who knows when we're getting Jalen Phillips or Chubb or any of that. Agba we've seen 9 sack seasons out of him. One, but whatever. We've seen it. It can. I hope it might have just lost you guys for a second. Sorry about that. But yeah, we know Agba is capable of producing. We've almost seen a double-digit sack season out of him. So I'll take the shot. It may only be first half of the season production, but it should be good production. Mike, what's your take on Agba? Am I crazy, or what do you think about that?
No, I mean, at this point, volume is volume, and he's going to get that. He's going to get some snaps. So, you can't really knock too many picks at this stage of the draft. Although I'll knock, Although I'm hoping a Landon Roberts isn't a thing because I'm putting a lot. I think someone said they're going to be either Peyton Wilson is going to be the greatest pick or is going to be a bad pick this year. So the projections I have on Peyton Wilson, I'm hoping are okay. So, but yeah, at this stage, you're just kind of, grasping, probably looking at maybe some bye week guys or some injury guys who, you're kind of like, all right, well, might as well just grab maybe this guy's handcuff or, someone's handcuff. So, and I think another guy that I think kind of fits that mold with injuries, I think is Marshawn Nealon from Dallas. So I think that's kind of where I'm going to go. Whenever you can play along, I think it's DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons, but Sam Williams, I think, was going to be that third edge rusher. So yeah, I think Marcus Nealon is probably going to get, he's probably going to have to get thrown into the fire now. And, he showed, he had some pretty good tape. I think he's a pretty solid edge rusher. There's a few other ways I could have gone, but again, kind of filling out, defensive line, getting some upside, I think I'm going to go with Nealon here. There's a few other rookies I was looking at, but
I love that pick. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Johnny, because we have you on, the biggest Dallas Cowboys fan that I know. What changes there?
Pessimistic,
Sure.
Most pessimistic, yeah.
I'm the one that I think I picked the Cowboys last year for the Super Bowl. So maybe, I'm not a fan, but I'm optimistic at least. What changes now with Dan Quinn gone defensively? Like, do you think that they do anything differently? Who do you want now? I don't know what to make of a lot of those players in Dallas right this second.
Yeah. I'll just go quick here, Bob, because you're on the clock and we want to hear what
Yeah.
you're thinking. But I've already read training camp stories about disagreements between Mike and the new defensive coordinator, so that's
Oh
not
boy.
great.
Yeah.
I don't know. It can't be as good as it has been. Plus, we're already losing guys to injuries, so I'm not enthused across the board. But that's any day that ends with Y for me. I'm a pessimist. But Bobby, what do you got going on here? What's your thought process for 19-8?
So I should go defensive back. I know I should, but I'm not going to because I just want to prove to everybody just the beauty that is the depths of the bottom of your IDP best ball drafts. I mean, a lot of us think like we got to get in here, we got to hammer this defensive line, we got to get these linebackers early so that we can just stream D-backs late. We're just going defensive backs the last however many rounds. And I'm going to talk about a guy real quick that Adam talked about pre-draft, fell in love with, and there's been a lot of hype out of Carolina about Trevin Wallace, the linebacker there for the Carolina Panthers. I don't know what you guys think. I think Shaq Thompson's pretty terrible at this point in his career. He's been injured a lot. He's not very reliable. And you can say what you want to about Josie Jewell as well, but I mean, same type of situation. Josie Jewell has had some pretty injury-plagued years, and that Carolina team is looking for some spark. It's looking for some youth. It's looking for just the future. You've got Xavier Leggett, my favorite player maybe now in the NFL. You've got young Bryce Young. You've got Dave Canales. That team's doing different things. Trevin Wallace might not be Adam just threw his phone through the drywall. Josh is absolutely correct. I'm sure Adam had Trevin queued up because I actually talked about him last week, what was his ADP. And I have to give Adam credit because Trevin was a guy that Adam talked about. But here we are, midway through training camp, and the reports are glowing for Mr. Trevin.
So he threw the phone and threw drywall? According to what Josh wrote,
phone through the drywall.
With the grammar matters, he threw phone and through drywall. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that the editor for the IDP show, right?
Yeah,
there?
you come after Josh. You best not miss. That's a rough look for you, Mike.
He wrote through twice. He wrote, unless he edited his comment, he wrote through.
No. Here we go. Proof.
I think it's right.
Yeah.
THROUGH through the drywall. He threw phone and through drywall. So THROUGH there, Josh.
All right, so we're about to have Jax on the clock here, but let's get Mike's take on the Trayvon Wallace pick there. Mike, what do you think on that? Are you about the hype?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think when I came on the linebacker show, Wallace was one of my guys that I wrote up or that I hyped up. So it's a good pick. Yeah, I think, and Jewell is probably, he's probably going to be used more. He's got some familiarity with Evero and Jero Evero. So, and Shaq's already hurt. So we'll see how things go there.
This is fun, though, so here we are the midway through the 19th round, and only 3 defensive backs have been taken. Wilson down there in Dallas, Trayvon Moehrig in Las Vegas, and then Adam just took Jalen Ramsey, who I do expect to have a pretty big year there for Miami. But it goes to show you, Jackson's about to take 2 defensive tackles here at the turn, just to prove the point even more so.
I just might.
But it is fun to these are the fun darts to throw at the end of the draft, Y'all can talk a little bit more to the best ball rounds that y'all played last year, but I think it is interesting. There are a couple spots early on in the draft where it is kind of hard to jump in and take a Antoine Winfield or to take a Kyle Hamilton or to take a whoever you believe in as far as your defensive backs go early. But I think it's okay. I think it's not as negative of a mentality that we once had. I think it's kind of something that we can embrace a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Jax, talk us through this real quick. What do you got on your mind for?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Harms there made a good pick. Jennings was my guy in the queue there. I like the dual Desi that late, and it's kind of a guy, one of the Bill Belichick guys they actually re-signed this offseason, brought him back, so they obviously like him.
Yeah, Harms is extremely annoying, Jackson. You're right.
Yeah, you sniped me there. So got a pivot there. I'm definitely gonna take one DB, but I think I am gonna go defensive line here, I'm going to take Milton Williams with my first pick. Just with the departure of Fletcher Cox and stuff, there's some change there in Philly. He's kind of been a guy that's been on the rise a bit. We haven't really seen a breakout in terms of production or anything, but that's kind of a guy where I'm banking on, maybe
Fangio loves him.
Fangio, exactly.
Fangio loves him. He tried trading for him, I guess, in Miami. So Fangio, that's a Fangio guy.
There you go, Mike, making me feel better about it. So yeah, I mean, I like that one at this point in the draft. And then after that, I'm going to take one of my favorite DBs left here. I'm going to go Amani Hooker. I know they brought in Adams. I know they brought in Quandre Diggs, but I still feel like Hooker has a decent role in that defense. I think he was one of the guys that they were talking about maybe wearing the green dot earlier on and stuff. I don't know how much of that's coming to fruition now, but I like him there in round 20 for sure.
Yeah. Hooker said he hasn't had a chance with it yet, so it does look like it's probably coming down to Murray and Gibbons. But he was, I think, in the mix. But yeah, I think he said he hasn't had a chance with it yet.
Sounds good.
Yep. All your green dot info should come from Mike and no one else, just Mike. Good stuff there. Bobby, you're about to be on the clock here. Before you make your pick, though, I want to know your thoughts. Are you back on the Jamal Adams train? Because you already know my answer, but
no, heavens no. We wrote him off in 2022. I don't have Jamal Adams sniffing any of my taxi squads on my team. Better yet, the actual roster. No, I mean, if you want to draft him, that's fine. I just he's one of those players that I've had on a couple teams, and you know how it is. Joey Bosa was the same way a couple years ago when Bosa had the foot thing. This was like 2020, 2021, I told myself, I was like, I'm not doing this again. And I know every single player can be that way. But Bosa, Jamal Adams, they all fall into that category of like, if you draft them and it works out for you, I'm happy for you. But that's some dangerous drafting in my opinion. I think there's better routes to take at this point. I got to say, I do love Jackson's pick there of Milton Williams. Milton Williams, a guy who has kind of been overshadowed a little bit because you've got the RAS guys there and Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. They have a really, really good set of defensive tackles, maybe the best defensive tackles in the NFL, honestly. But Milton Williams, a guy who a couple years ago, I think he had 4 sacks in 2022, didn't do as much last year, but it will be fun to see if he can grow a little bit going into his 4th year in the league. Milton, a guy that I really, really like. Just watching ball, he was kind of a guy like Christian Barmore there for a couple years. You had good PFF grades, but didn't have a whole bunch of sacks. It will be fun to see Milton as he continues his NFL career to see if he actually gets any better. I hope he does.
Yes, sir. And what are you thinking here, Bobby? This is 20.5.
Man, what am I thinking? That's a great question, Johnny.
I don't think I want to know what he's thinking, honestly.
You really probably don't, Mike. You really probably don't. All right, I'm going to take another little Addy special here. We are actually going to go to the DB well, and I know this guy because he was on the Rams, but now he is on the Carolina Panthers, Jordan Fuller, a guy who as well get a little bit of hype in camp. There's not a whole lot of defensive backs there with Jeremy Chin leaving. That team is kind of bad, so I think they're going to play a lot of defense this year. So Jordan Fuller there in the 20th round is going to be my dart throw. Mikey, what are you thinking here?
I think I'm going to feel like playing a snipe right now, so I feel like sniping Kyle. So looking at some of the guys,
a Packer.
I think I'm going to. I don't know if he. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have him on his board, but he took Wyatt in the 19th round, so maybe he was eyeing a DB in the next round. So I think I'm going to go snipe hunting, and just for the hell of it, I'm going to go Javon Bullard. Got the start. He looks to be potentially starting opposite Xavier McKinney. Seems like he's having a good camp. So I think, why the hell not?
And if you're right, it's 100% of snap safety in round 20. If you're right, and if you're not, it's a mock. We'll live. So win-win.
Right.
Yeah. I got a question for you, Mike. Of the rookie safeties this season, which one do you want the most?
Good God, I have absolutely no clue. I really don't. Cole Bishop, I think, is hurt. Tyler Nubin's hurt. I haven't really heard anything about Jaden Hicks. I have absolutely no idea. The safeties have been the most confusing. Has been the most confusing position over the last couple of years when it comes to rookies. I honestly have no idea. we could have 10 different answers and you have to have different guys. So honestly, I don't know. I mean, Newman's hurt, so it looks like Dane Belton and Jason Pinnock are the safeties there. So I mean, obviously, Javon Bullard as of right now, because it looks like he's got to pass the snaps.
Yep, I'm with you on that. All right, so I should be going defensive back, except Sleeper auto drafted me like 12 of them earlier in this, so I don't need to. So instead, I'm going to look at that Washington defensive line that just has lost everyone except their defensive tackles talent-wise, and I'm just going to take a shot in the dark on Dante Fowler. We've seen him in a rotational role before, have decent production. I don't need to be right about it because it's best ball. If it happens, I'll get it. If not, it's fine. Thoughts on Fowler? Bobby, what do you think?
Man, I'm loving all of this. I love Ogba. I even, going back to last round, love Kyle's pick of Devonta Wyatt, very similar to a Milton Williams type of guy. Love the Marshawn Nealon grab. Dante Fowler, another guy that he's going to get a lot of PT this year. Darius Robinson, the guy for Arizona that Boobay and Jeff just took there in the 25th. Michael Hoyt, another guy Evan Ringler took at the beginning of the 19th. Just goes to show you, if you want to jump in and grab defensive back a little earlier, it's okay. There's going to be some nasty dart throws here at the end from the linebacking and defensive line as well. I like that, Johnny.
Nice. Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate that.
So quick question, just in general, what was it, the 2021 or 2022 Georgia defense that had Nakobe Dean and Channing Tindall at line? I liked those linebackers, and now it just doesn't look like anything is happening with those guys. Did we overrate them, or did we miss?
Nakobe just can't stay healthy, man. I think that's his big deal. I think the talent is there. It's just one thing after the other with him. He just can't stay on the field, and that's kind of a death sentence for any player, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
agreed. That's well said, Jack.
Such a good defense too, right? Like we wanted all the pieces of it, and that can be an issue too.
Yeah,
just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Alrighty, gonna be back to me here in a second. I'm probably going defensive back. Let's see. Jax, I don't think we got you on record for this, but are you a floor guy or a spike week guy? What's your approach to these best balls, just like in general?
I'd say naturally a floor guy for sure. Like I like the consistency, but like even in this mock, I'm trying to break that kind of way of thinking a little bit and aiming more upside. Like I said, with that round with Van Ness and Wilson, I probably would have gone like Leonard Williams every other draft, where I think it's a bit more of a floor play. But I think with these best balls, that's how you can win them, right? Is have the big spike weeks and stuff, and just have enough of those chips where maybe one falls for you, kind of thing. But yeah, definitely aiming more ceiling in this draft.
Yeah, with the big three scoring, absolutely, right? Like pass defense is like most of a touchdown in big three scoring. That should give you some idea of how the big play scoring is for big three scoring. So yeah, I agree. I tend to lean a little more towards splash plays and away from combined tackles in this scoring. Okay, and my pick's pretty simple. I do have to go defensive back here, and now that he has the P instead of the Q next to his name, I'm gonna go Hufanga, starting safety 49ers.
That's a good
pick.
And
100% of snap safety in round 21. I'll take it. That's fine.
Absolutely.
And if you get production that matches what he did in 2022, that's going to be a steal, obviously, right? It's just the injury and him coming back, but that could be a good one for sure.
Yeah, wasn't Hufanga like a top 3 safety that year?
Yeah.
Really high.
Yeah, 95 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 4 INTs. So he stuffed the stat sheet.
Behind Fred and Dre.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even more impressive.
Very impressive. Mr. Woellert, what are you thinking for this one?
So I think I'm going to go boring. But chance of production playing a familiar role at, again, probably going to go in DB just because of the big play potential. But I'm going to go boring, and I'm going to go Jordan Poyer with Miami. I mean, this guy used to be a consistent top 3, top 5 DB. So
All
leaves
pro
Buffalo. And now all of a sudden he's kind of forgotten, but yeah, I'm gonna go Jordan Poyer, Mr. Boring, who I think has a pretty good floor and is always capable of turning the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I like that. Let's go Jax, then Bobby, because you're going to be on the clock here in a second. Jax, thoughts on Poyer? I love that pick. Just real quick, what do you think?
I love it, man. I've always just been a fan of Poyer in general. Like, he's a dog. And like, yeah, like I think that's a good floor play. Like, he's consistent. With him, it's just the story of like, it's health, right? Like, what is he, 33 now? Or is he older than that? I don't know. I know he's in his 30s. Like, he's getting older. 33. Yeah. So he's just got to stay healthy, right? Like, last year he battled, I think it was like an elbow injury or something. But even then, like, still put up 100 tackles with Buffalo, right? In 16 games. So I love the floor there. I don't think he's a guy that's going to burn you or anything. You know, you can start him every week and kind of be confident as long as he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And Mr. Bobby, what do you got for this one?
So do you want me to get cute now or wait for the turn to see if Jackson takes this guy or not? I mean, I can do either one.
I think you can get cute. I think we should get cute. I don't know. I think Jackson has the look of a sniper.
Let's get cute then.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to grab a Johnny the Greek special as well, Justin Simmons.
That was the top of my queue. That was the top of my queue.
Being shopped around a little bit today. The timing is perfect. I knew Jackson was on to him a little bit, so I had to go ahead and get cute. So, Jackson, thank you for allowing me to go ahead and take Justin Simmons there in the middle of the 21st round. I appreciate that.
I was seeing smoke today, man. Like, talking about the Colts, maybe. You know, the Panthers badly need some help in the secondary. Like, I feel like he's going to get a job soon. He was voted like the 57th best player in the top 100 poll by his peers. So, like, you got to think that's got to count for something, right? So
supposedly I saw the Texans made him an offer today. That's the most recent thing. But I also had heard maybe some clatter to him with the Colts.
Yeah, the Colts.
Yeah.
I said clatter with the safeties. Gus Bradley doesn't seem too happy with the safeties right now.
Yeah, shouldn't be.
Yeah, very solid option, very reliable option. Didn't he have a stretch where he didn't miss a game for like 2-3 seasons or something like that? It was. I remember something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Very good pick. I like that quite a bit right there. All righty. So we're gonna have Jax on the clock here in a second. Let's get Mike on record though. Mike, are you a floor guy? Are you a spike week guy? What's your approach to these, just kind of in general?
Oh, I'm definitely not a ceiling guy. These best ball drafts, I will say, are a little out of my comfort zone, just because I like to get, I like the guys that I know I can count on every week. So, when you start your draft, like if you're playing a non-best ball draft, but you're going in redraft and you're starting your draft off with, say, 2 or 3 defensive linemen, I think, at least in my opinion, you're kind of, you're giving yourself a high ceiling, but your floor could be a little bit out of whack, because, as much as I love Myles Garrett, he could go a stretch of 3 or 4 games where he gets a couple of tackles and doesn't get a sack. So it happened last season. He went, I think, the last, I want to say, 3 or 4 weeks without a sack. Didn't have a sack in the playoff game. So, and if you have 2 or 3 of those guys in your starting lineup every week, you got to really make sure you hit on everybody else to cover up the variance of that position. So I like to try to get, everybody knows I'm a linebacker guy. So usually within those first 4 to 5 rounds, I like to try to get some guys that I know I could just plug in that are going to average 8 to 10 tackles a game. And then I'll sprinkle in, a defensive end who I know will get the double-digit sacks, probably at least 1 or 2, within those first few picks. So I don't like to lower my, limit or lower my floor by doing something like that. So that's kind of the way I approach things.
Yep. I'm with you on that, Mike. And that is why CJ Mosley is in all my drafts, because I know I'm getting 10 tackles a week, no matter what, as long as he's on the field. So, Mr. Jax, you're going to be up here in a second. What are you thinking about? What's going through your head for this pick right here?
Well, I think I'm sitting at 4 DBs right now. So I think at least one of these picks has got to be a DB, if not both. There's a range of guys here I do really like, all kind of for different reasons. There's like some floor plays. There's still some ceiling plays out there, I think, too. And like, even looking at the D line, there's a couple, even a guy like Brian Brissy, like I won't play my hand too much, but like that's a guy that, does he have a bigger role this year and the sack production goes up a little bit? That could be an interesting one, right? So there's options here for sure. Jordan Howden. Okay, yeah, for the first one here, I think I'm going to go with a guy that I'm confident has a good role next year, and he's coming off a great season. I'm going to go Jason Pinnock. 193 points in Big 3 scoring last year, which I mean, like it's value-wise alone to get him at 21-12 there. Like that's pretty good value. 85 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 INTs. So I'm happy with that one. And then I think I will double dip here again on DB. I like Marcus Williams. I just think maybe he's too much of a floor play for my liking here. I think I'm going to go, following the news of Stearns being released, I'm going to go PJ Locke here. This dude had I think he had the #1 pass rush grade for safeties on PFF, which I know doesn't mean everything, but yeah, like a 93.3 pass rush grade, which is kind of absurd. So if they can find a way to kind of use that maybe and get those analytics to kind of come in there and show what he can do, that could be a good ceiling play at this point for sure.
Yeah, I like that. Absolutely. Yeah. Bobby, thoughts on that Denver safety situation? And then you're going to be up here in a second.
Yeah, I mean, PJ Locke, a guy, especially like Jax was saying with the Caden Stearns news today, Locke's ADP will climb. And Pinnock is another guy, too, that I don't know why he gets a little bit of a knock, ADP-wise. To me, Pinnock deserves to be several rounds higher because you're exactly right, Jackson. He was great last year. Going back up to, I want to touch on Jake Colhagen's draft. So they're in the 11 slot. Round 17, Keon White, another defensive lineman that out of New England I really, really like. And then doubled that up with Dayon Henley. Henley, a guy that I think will have a probably bigger opportunity in LA this year. I don't think that Denzel Perryman is the same old Denzel Perryman that we know. He's been injured a little bit. He's kind of moved around from the last couple years. So what will he be this year? I know it's probably going to be Colson to play, but maybe Henley gets a little bit of run too. And let's go ahead and talk about my pick since I'm up. And I'm going to grab a defensive tackle in the 22nd round because that's what I feel like doing. Take Johnny Newton there, another guy. Training camp hype has been high. I had thought about this too, and I've talked about it on the show. There's been a lot of talk about Brandon Ayuk trade, and I think I created a little trade, either sending Deron Payne or Jonathan Allen, either one of those, to San Fran for Ayuk because Eric Armstead is gone to Jacksonville. Jackson, he's down there with you now, and then Javon Hargrave is pretty much the only one left there, and they've always really liked having a couple good, solid defensive tackles. I don't know that that's actually ever going to be the case. But who's to say that the Commanders don't see Johnny Newton look really good this year and say, okay, do we really need 3 elite defensive tackles? Maybe we look to move one of these guys. So Johnny Newton, I really like the outlook for him going into 2024. And also, I hate Josh because Deron Bland is another DB out of the Cowboys that I really like. What was it he had last year? 6
pick sixes.
Good gosh, that's insane.
Crazy.
Not a lot to live. It's hard to say that that's going to replicate again for this year. But the guy has a nose for the ball. He also can look pretty miserable at times in coverage. But some of those interceptions are pretty impressive too. Hey, same type.
You don't want them to be too good either. Come on. So.
Exactly. Johnny knows better than any of us.
Yeah. All righty, and Mike, that's over to you. What do you got for this one? 22.7.
Yep. So I'm going to go with another guy that's getting a lot of hype in camp, another rookie, who I didn't think was going to, do, I guess, too much. I think he got into some trouble before the draft, and I don't know, but everything coming out of camp saying he's kind of dominating the line and he's playing alongside Jeffrey Simmons. So I don't think I'm going to take a chance on Tavondre Sweat here.
I was hoping he'd come back to me. That's a good pick, Mike.
Yeah,
A lot of
Jax.
camp reports.
Yeah, talk about that. Why do you like the pick, Jax?
I might just be falling for the Twitter reports, honestly, but I've just been seeing so much about that guy and how much of a beast he is, and like literally pictures of like him beside Tajay Spears or whoever and stuff, and he's just like this mammoth of a human. So, yeah, I think they like him too. Like he could have a solid role as early as next season. So I like that pick, Mike, for sure.
Yeah, I think some of the comparisons. I mean, I love when teammates talk up their teammates, but let's try to like hold off on comparing guys to Hall of Famers right now. But you know, I know you like the guys, but let's hold off on comparing guys to Hall of Famers.
Yeah, no doubt. A little early for that. All right, I'm going to go back to the defensive tackle well here and just get a combined tackle guy. Not going to be a lot of sacks, but good for my floor each week.
That was a good
Mr.
pick.
BJ.
I like him.
Yeah. Out of Cincy, very solid, especially in your defensive tackle only leagues.
Hey, Johnny, I got a question for you. I got a corner question. You
Oh,
know, for the people that don't know, Johny the Greek's specialty corner article that comes out every single week there at the IDPshow.com. Some rookie corners. Any rookie corners that you're really loving this year?
No.
No.
I really don't believe it. I mean, the rookie corner rule does exist. We're just not going to know for a while, right? And the thing with streaming corner, is I'm worried about week 1.
Sure.
That's it.
Sure.
And then week 2, and then week 3, and then week 4, right?
Any down the line that you think could have some relevancy this year?
Yeah, definitely. So the guys that had the highest draft capital, was it Wiggins for Baltimore?
Yeah.
And then the Lions guy, they definitely need corner help. Those guys should get roles pretty early and pretty often. I'm a little worried about Kool-Aid McKinstry, to be honest with you, just because, I mean, think about it. You got a Dabo, you got Lattimore, you got Taylor there. Who's he going to displace, and when is that going to happen? So they're not all slam dunks, but because I don't work for these coaching staffs, I can't tell you which one of them is going to play week 1. So I just stay away from the rookies week 1. After we see some snaps, we'll adjust from there. But that's the truth.
So
what do you think of like Lassiter and Melton?
Because I think they're penciled in. I mean, I know depth charts don't mean anything, but what do you think on Lassiter and Melton? Because I think someone got hurt in Arizona that I think may have opened up some time, or for Melton.
Right.
So
right, and Arizona was a dumpster fire at corner last year. It was who was it? Antonio Marco Wilson kept the job for most of the year. Antonio Hamilton came in. Garrett Williams came in. It was just like a rotation from hell. Yeah, right. Yeah. And Williams just got hurt. So there's definitely an opportunity, absolutely, for those guys. Yeah, no doubt. All righty, gonna be back to me here in a second. I got a good question though, so I'll just get my pick out of the way right now. I'm probably gonna go defensive back, probably Cisco out of Jacksonville. Just hope for another starting safety, see if it works out. But I got a question.
Jeff doesn't snipe you.
Now that
you just gave your pick.
That's whatever. It's fine. There's several out here. I got a question for you guys, though. Let's start with Jax on this one. What's your ideal breakdown or team makeup for a best ball like this? Are you evenly distributing, like equal amount of D-line, linebackers, and defensive backs? Are you going more with one than the others? How do you approach that overall?
Yeah, like I'm not a huge fan of like, so if it's 24 rounds like this, I don't love the 8-8-8 idea kind of thing. Like I think I would prefer to have more defensive backs. That way, if you're punting that position like I did here, you can take a bunch near the end and kind of have, a bunch of lotto balls and hope one kind of fits in the best ball lineup type of deal. So definitely like if I can get 9 or 10 DBs, that kind of thing. And then like I might not even get another linebacker here. We'll see. But like I'm comfortable with like 6 linebackers. Maybe 7 probably would have been a little better for me. But like, yeah, basically my makeup, I'm kind of focusing like on that DB heavy, drafting DB in the later rounds type of deal.
Yep, good stuff there. I'm with you on that. Yeah, and I don't have like a set rule. It has to be this, this, this. I'm just looking for value, and then if I've forgotten a position, I'll make up for it later by going over the top with it towards the end. Mike, you are on the clock here. What's your pick? And then what's your ideal makeup for one of these teams?
I think it's so hard. I mean, for me, when I think I have enough linebackers, take another linebacker, I guess. I mean, I've got 8 of them now. I'm about to probably draft my 9th. I think I'm going to go another. I'm going. If I'm looking out of my picks, out of my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, out of my 4 out of my last. Yeah, 3 out of my last 6 have been rookies. I'm going to take another one, but Jerome Baker's already soft tissue injuries have already hit him. Jerome Baker's already dealing with a hamstring, and I think I'm going to go with one of my guys with everybody saying Tyrese Knight. Yeah. So, if Baker or Dodson miss any time, I mean, Knight looks to be kind of that next man up. So I think at this point, DB. I mean, if you look at if you were to look at the DBs, I mean, you've got your pick of the litter of any DBs, corners who are going to play every week. So. But yeah, you can go, kind of those. Injury fill-ins, you don't have to worry, and you got a guy that comes up, I mean, Josh took Adebo. I think I had to beat Adebo projected within the top 20 DBs, so I think he's in for a big year. So huge, lots available, and I liked Jeff's Cater Kohu pick. So slot corners are valuable. So so in terms of makeup, I like to have a good mix. I like to try to be a little balanced and, try to do that best player available. But if a guy falls that you didn't think would fall, take that guy. So it's kind of almost approach it the way you would a redraft, but just keep in mind, try to get some ceiling guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bobby, coming off your Trayvon pick here, thoughts on that? And then general team makeup, what are you aiming for?
Yeah, just kind of like Josh there in the middle of the 22nd, just trying to get some upside, trying to get some ceiling plays. I don't think Trayvon Diggs is great. I don't think Deron Bland is great, but you're exactly right, Johnny. And like I said, gosh, I hate Adam so much. Quentin Lake, I should have done that there right before him. I wasn't thinking. But anyways, I love you, Adam. I miss you. Yeah, as far as makeup and the best balls, to be honest with you, I'm still new to it. It's hard for me to turn off Dynasty brain. I've got Dynasty brain all the time, so I'm always thinking like rookies, second year, third year. It's something that's kind of difficult for me. So the best balls are new. I'm not sitting here and acting like I'm the best ball player. But I do know where to kind of take value. I do know where to, kind of shoot my shot and try to see if I can get some ceiling grabs here. But yeah, Trayvon Diggs, he is the epitome of a ceiling grab there in the 23rd.
Yep. Yeah, the ceiling being double-digit interception season a couple of years ago. That's pretty good ceiling. Yep.
Yeah, 2 good picks behind mine too. Quentin Lake, another guy that Jordan Rodriguez, if you follow her from The Athletic, called the Jalen Ramsey to the star role several years ago, which was immediately a perk to my ear, because that was a new thing that was kind of happening for bringing Jalen Ramsey inside. It was like, what? This is foreign to all of us. But it was a great role for him, and that's the talk for Quentin Lake, that they're kind of rolling him a little bit more in the slot. These slot guys are around the ball, around the line of scrimmage a whole lot more often, able to get more tackles, potentially rush the passer, more big plays. But then exactly like Jax was saying at the end of the the 21st, start of the 22nd, Brian Bresee was another guy that's on a lot of our cues. Is he somebody that's going to take a step this year? I really think he probably will. Another guy late in these drafts, if you want to throw a defensive tackle dart throw, he's a beautiful one to take here. All right, Jackson, bring us home. What's the turn here? What's the thought process for what are we in, 25th, 26th round?
23rd round.
24th.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I mean, I talked about him my last set of picks there, and Marcus Williams. Like, I think he's definitely more of a floor play. He hasn't really been able to stay healthy, like 11 games last year, 10 games the year before, but still put up 55 tackles and 61 tackles in those seasons respectively, and then 1 pick and 4 picks. So, I mean, he's been putting up decent numbers. I think the Ravens like him. His role shouldn't change. He's just got to stay healthy. I'm going to take Marcus Williams as my last DB there. And then I really do feel like I want to get one more linebacker to close this thing out. And I might go with a bit of a mystery pick here. Just with the news with Pete Werner and the shoulder injury. You got Willie Gay there, I know, but he's kind of a guy that's missed time over the past couple seasons himself. I'm going to go with Khaliki Hudson, who they just brought in here, and kind of hope that maybe an injury thrusts him into more of a starting role there.
You're already planning for Christmas because he usually gets a 3-down roll right around that time. So
Exactly.
you're thinking ahead to the Christmas season.
Yeah, a little Christmas present.
It'd be good timing, right? Right before fantasy playoffs. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you know it.
That'll work. Good stuff, Jax. I like that. Bobby, you're about to have your last pick here. What's going through that old noggin?
Oh, just glad I got to spend some time with you guys tonight. That's about all that's in my noggin. Yeah. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. More people should play best ball. This just kind of scratches that itch. A lot of these people that want to start a dynasty startup or let's get another redraft league. I got an invite today, and I had to respectfully tell a buddy of mine, like, look, dude, I'm in the leagues that I'm going to be in. I'd happily join a best ball. I mean, that's good fun. But yeah, here in the back end of the 24th, I'm not going to go defensive back. Just like Jackson. I want to be like Jackson when I grow up. I want to grab a guy like Khaliki Hudson. And another guy that I think is just kind of getting forgotten. I don't know that he's going to take a step because it's gotten to be some muddy water there with the Brian Burns edition. But Azeez Ojulari, he has some pop weeks. He has some, he's got a couple weeks of 2.5 sacks. He's got some, some small snippets of production. Is he actually going to become a good defensive lineman? I don't know. But at the middle of the last round, I'll take a shot on a guy like Azeez.
Yeah. Rotational production this far down is A-okay. We'll take it.
Yep.
Mr. Woellert, what do you got for your last pick?
I think I'm going to go Homer with a Homer pick. I think this guy is could be in line for a pretty big year at corner opposite Denzel Ward. And I'm going to go Martin Emerson. So I think he brings a lot of defended pass upside, and I think I got him projected near 4 interceptions. So I think he has a pretty big year. So Homer pick, not gonna sugarcoat it, not gonna shy away from it. Total Homer pick, but I think Emerson is in line for a pretty big year, breakout year.
Yeah, good week 1 matchup too against a Dallas team that stinks on the road, and Dak throws interceptions every day of the week, it feels like. So it should be looking good there. All righty, good stuff. All right, so I'll wrap us up here with the last one. Let's get a couple quick more things in here before we wrap up, though. So most important thing you think to win one of these best ball tournaments? Let's start with Bobby.
Follow the IDPshow.com. Subscribe. Get in the ranks. Adam's ranks are pretty fire. I think that's the best thing you can do to help yourself with the IDP best balls. No, seriously, don't be scared to grab a defensive back early. If you like a guy, if you think that he could, really help your team, and you have a couple of good dart throws like a Milton Williams, if you've got a guy like a Leo Chenal, you got some of these linebackers or some of these defensive linemen that you like late to kind of, make up for how high you might reach on a defensive back. Don't be scared. Adam might chastise you, but I won't. I'll welcome you in, man.
All right. And honestly, we have no idea what kind of makeup's going to win this thing. No one does.
Yeah.
So have fun. Go with your gut. Mike, how about you? What's your takeaway for this?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we're pretty much all just guessing. So, you could follow me and go, hey, I'm just gonna go all linebacker and see what happens. But no, I just yeah, like Bob said, don't be afraid to take DB early, and don't be afraid to shoot for upside. Try to turn off your redraft brain, your dynasty brain, and don't be afraid to shoot for upside.
Okay, you guys got me?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're here.
No?
Yeah, we got you.
Can you hear me?
Good, Johnny.
Good. Now we can't.
Oh, now you're muted.
You're muted or something.
Oh no, we can't hear Johnny. I'll have to talk for a minute until Johnny kind of figures it out a little bit. But yeah, so Kyle B there with Deontay Banks. Diamador Lador is taken by DJ Keltown. Johnny's going to try to shake some hands over there and figure it out. The other defensive tackle there in Jordan Davis is selected. We also have Jonah Griffith, and then I can't read that last one. Somebody help me with that last one.
AJ Brents, Julius Brents.
Yeah, Brents.
Yeah, Brents.
Juju Brents.
Yeah.
There he is. We still don't have you, Johnny. It's all right. We'll bring it home. Jax, let's talk about your draft a little bit, specifically tonight. I mean, I know you have some smashes early on, but let's talk a little bit about tonight. What's your favorite pick from tonight? And then, who's somebody else that you think had a good draft tonight?
Yeah, I do like the Milton Williams pick where I got him in a night where I was DB heavy for sure. Pinnock too, like I said, just because of the production last year, like to get him at 21-12, a guy who had almost 200 points in Big Three.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. And yeah, just looking at, you guys and what you're doing here. I like the Zach Bond pick a lot, Bobo, just looking at your draft here. Probably because I've heard like Sirianni just gassing him up the last couple of days. And, he's saying he has a high motor and loves the physicality and stuff. So, I mean, if that's a guy, round 17 there, he's starting beside Devin White all year, like that could be great value, right? So I think you did a great job. I like the Homer pick, but I like the Armstead pick from Evan too at round 20, just because like the Jags have desperately needed some interior pass rush. So like if he can stay healthy, I think he could get some sacks. But that's a Homer pick. Don't look at the jersey on the wall behind me.
All right, Mike, what do you think? Favorite pick from the night, and then who's somebody else that did a good job tonight?
Let's see. I was toying between Jennings and Nealand at my pick, so I definitely like Harms's pick of Anthony Jennings. I think Matthew Judon could. I don't know what his status is going to be. I know he's appearing at camp. He could be traded. You never know what's going on. So I definitely like the Jennings pick. Just, I mean, a lot of solid picks. I mean, Harrison Smith is a grizzled vet. I liked the Harrison Smith pick. Again, a safe floor. Quite a few DBs with Metellus and Bynum, but there's definitely there will definitely be production to be had. So I like those two picks. And I will be honest, I did get sniped on Kirby Joseph. That's who I was targeting with my last pick, but it worked out well because then with Joseph getting picked, that just made it easier for me to take Martin Emerson.
Absolutely. Well, I love it, Mike. Here we are. We've wrapped up the finals of the mock for the IDP drafts with the IDP show. Jackson, thank you for being here with us tonight. Mike Woellert, thank you for being here with us tonight. Johny the Greek is out there. I think he said his cat had unplugged his microphone and now couldn't get it back in. So it's all right. We still brought it home either way. Guys, thank you so much. Everybody who was able to draft with us as well. This is a smart draft. Not every week you're going to get sniped by all these smart IDP heads in here. But thank you guys so much. We appreciate it and enjoy your night. See you guys.